our case study was called Spencer Leadership Center, and this case study talked about whether the owner of a university should invest $7 million to expand his MBA program at his school. So the owner, Irwin, first bought Spencer Leadership Center on 30 acres of land, and it was a conference center for people to come study and rent out rooms. He then changed it to University of Western Ontario, where he made it a university and kept investing small increments of money to expand his university. And he wanted to figure out how to increase his revenues after years and years of having the university. So he hired a consultant, and this consultant said that he should move his MBA program to a different location, and that would cost $7 million. So Irwin went over the pros and cons of investing the $7 million and determined that $3 million would come from the university's funding, and they would have to get a loan on $4 million, paying that off in 4 years. And so after the pros and cons were talked about, he made his decision. About the payback period, which is how many years it'll take to make back that initial investment. So Irwin decided to take $7 million for the expansion, and he could get $3 million taken away by the university's funding. So he'd have $4 million that he'd need to get a loan on from the bank. And the bank gave him a price of $991,000 for 4 years with a 6% interest rate. And Irwin also discovered that he would get a 5% increase in his revenues just by completing this project. And in 2008, he thought he would make $10 million that first year is completed. So by taking the $10 million in 2008 and multiplying that by 5%, he would take that new revenue and minus that by the old 2008 time to get a difference. And he would keep adding those differences up for how many years it would take to get the $4 million. So his payback period for the $4 million loan would be 8 years. And if he kept going to find out the $7 million payback period, it would be 12 years.
The incremental cash flow is the net after-cost cash flow in which a product will generate over the course of its entire life. In this scenario, we will be going over the revenues and costs in expanding this leadership center or not expanding it at all. Now listen, 2008 was the first year Western Ontario decided to pay its payment for the loan. It was $990,000. This increased their costs, but it also decreased their total income, and this led a lot of people to believe that it wasn't worth expanding. Now 2013 was the last year in which they stopped paying loans, and the cash flow analysis shows an increase in total income during that year. With the 5% gain in revenues and no more loan payments, this leads to the first income rises in which they will see in their investments. And today, I will be outweighing the pros and the cons of Irwin's decision to expand the Ivey School of Business. Now it is very important that Irwin fully analyzes the differences between the pros and cons, because if the cons outweigh the pros, then it could potentially devastate the impacts on his business. Now, the first pro to Irwin's decision if he wanted to actually expand the business would be that this would allow more students to attend the college. And as more students attend the college, this should generally increase the revenues brought into the School of Business. Now, another pro to Irwin's decision if he wants to follow through with the expansion of his School of Business would be he would be adding several state-of-the-art modern facilities into his school. Now, students are constantly looking to better their experience in their MBA programs, and modern facilities is a great way to attract more students. And also, along with the expansion, Irwin will also be implementing several new marketing strategies into his expansion. He plans on updating several websites and putting key features on the new state-of-the-art facilities. He also plans on putting a virtual reality tour in his new facility. This will also help bring more students to the college, because students will see that the new state-of-the-art facilities is something that will catch their eye and they will want to attend the new university. Now let me put a situation in your head for this next pro. Let's say students from around the area and neighboring colleges decide that they aren't really satisfied with their current state of their MBA program. If they see this new expansion based off the marketing techniques that Irwin used on his website, they might decide to switch over to Irwin School of Business rather than the competing colleges in which they used to be affiliated with. And in this case, this would better enhance Irwin's Ivy School of Business in being the #1 in Canada. With all these pros in mind, Irwin has predicted that he will receive an extra 5% revenue every single year in the long run after the expansion is done. Now that that's over, let's talk about the cons. So, the biggest con for Irwin's expansion plan is going to be the general price of the construction. Now, the total for the construction is going to be about $7 million. And in order for him and his school to pay back the full $7 million, it should take approximately 12 years to pay back the full money that he spent on the project. Now, in order to pay for the expansion, Irwin must take out a $4 million loan from the bank. And this provides a con because he has to pay very high interest rates of 6% for 4 years. So ultimately, he's going to pay a lot more money than what he really needs to spend on the project. Besides the overall price of the project, the construction itself is going to take about a year to complete, and this could cause a lot of disturbances in the building already pre-existing in the construction site. Like, for example, some classrooms may not be able to be put to use because they're under construction, and a lot of loud noises will be happening all throughout the year that could cause disturbances in the school itself.
As a group, we have decided to expand the Richard Ivey School of Business. We agreed that all the pros outweighed all the cons. The expansion would consist of 2 extra lounges, a new 60-seat classroom, 1 flat class, and also upgrades to carpets, paintings, and wall coverings. Irwin believed that if the renovation did not occur, executive education would at best remain the same. To keep up with their high demand, they must expand.